Morning, everybody. I had a tremendous sleep. I'm feeling refreshed. Lots of mind today to work on the things I have to do, which of course is the ICC letter to Karim Khan, who is the prosecutor right now. The prosecutor that's in place right now is stepping down here literally within just a few weeks, and Khan is officially going to be taking over. But I'm going to give the presentation as Canada needs it to be given to the ICC, which is absolutely bound to the P5. We're going to go into the UN today. I've read a lot of comments, and I understand new people come on board all the time. I get criticized heavily about the UN all the time. I've never, ever, in all my history on Facebook, which any of you right now can do a name search, my name plus United Nations, UN, UNSC, and you will get many detailed posts over the course of the last 4 or 5 years that will go into detail about the UN that I've done for all of you. Every agenda, every agreement, everything that's ever been put forward in the General Assembly. To go into great detail, everybody, I know a lot of my loyalist followers, it's rehash, rinse, repeat. People say, Dave, your videos are too long. You're always repeating yourself. But the reality is, you will learn what I learned. If I don't go into these details, if I don't repeat myself, the questions grow. My comment box grows, and then I'm sitting there all day texting and typing in comments, trying to fill people in when I can just go through it very easily in a video like this, one-on-one with all of you. It seems to work the best, even though you do get that percentage who complains about the length of videos. Sorry, I've learned my lesson over the years. I've been at this a long time. I have to do it this way for generally everybody. People rotate. Some people don't watch videos of mine somewhere's upwards of a month, and then they jump in. They need to be filled in great detail. As well, people leave and come on the feed, so I go through it. So let's just start with the UNSC, which is United Nations Security Council. That's 5 countries, everybody. That's USA, Russia, China, France, UK. How were they built? What are they? Well, the 5 allies are the victors of World War II. Absolutely. 2 of those victors inside that UNSC, which governs the world. So when people talk NWO, there's an NWO, and then there's like a world police. There was a cartoon movie made to kind of make fun of the United States. The reality is it's 5 countries who are like the world police. Their international laws on every continent and every country in the world post-World War II is simply this: sovereignty, each nation unto its own. If you follow their laws, which are very good, very simplified, there's a charter, there's several other ascended pieces of legislation, world international binding law, that ratify all the rules of war, what countries can and can't do, how countries can behave in this world today, which means staying in your borders, having sovereignty of your country, and respecting your people. Democracy's there as well too. Religion is cemented there. Many things are cemented in absolute international law, including travel, migration. All of it is there. Very simple, very articulately drawn out. The 5 UNSC each have a veto in this world to shut any law down they wish, unless all 5 together ratified it and bound it together. Once they do that, it's binding worldwide, meaning no country is allowed to deviate from that bound law. When you all talk about NWO, what you're talking about is a presentation made in the General Assembly that was put out for the entire world. All of the world can vote yes on it, but if one of those 5 one of the P5, who are the authority of this world police. When I say judge, jury, executioner, they are all those things together or individually. If one says no, or one says, no, this person's to be executed, that person's executed, and the other four can't do anything about what the fifth has done. That is international law. Now, the laws that they've bound together, those five together, if they deviate from those laws, they can lose their United Nations Security Council seat or face sanctions, tariffs, trade embargoes, military intervention, and or execution as well too. That's why it's important when we look in the international legal perspective. Was the thing that your country bound and ratified, was it absolutely enshrined by all five? If it wasn't, Canadians, it means it was thrown in the garbage can. It doesn't matter if China threw it away, or USA threw it away, or Russia threw it away, or France or UK threw it away. Any one or all or a portion of them, if they throw it away, it means it can't be bound in international law. So why does your country sign it? There is the ultimate problem, and absolutely your NWO of the UN. And when you look at Canada, I can look all over the world at many, many countries. I did this work. I wrote a paper for Oxford. International law as it really is. The nature of international law as it really is. It was for everybody, UNSC, for all UN General Assembly states, every lawyer, every judge worldwide who wishes to read it in plain speak. It's on my timeline. I made an audio of it. It's dictated to you, or you can just read it yourself. Everything there is verifiable, 100% accurate. This is how it works. There are 6 organs of the UN. Most of the things you all talk about, and I see it over, oh, Dave, the WHO. The WHO is not a UN organ. It's underneath a division of organs, not ratified or bound in international law, meaning it can't be used as supremacy of international law. It's not legally binding, means it can't hold up in a court. So when you see a binding 5-member like USA say, hey, forget this, da-da-da, they're angry, hello, one of the UNSC just spoke out about something, everybody. That means it's finished, finito, done. Again, is it one of the 6 organs? And when I say 6 organs, the last organ is the General Assembly. Last organ. It's an ideas machine with no way to bind international law unless all 5 have voted it, or of the 5, most of them bound it, the others abstained, meaning go ahead, make it a law internationally, but I have the privilege of revoking my abstention and voting no anytime I wish. Would you ratify a law knowing that there is a power out there that can take it away? No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't do that. This is what people don't understand. This is the tremendous education all Canadians have to learn. We're not the only countries. There are countries all over the world. All over the world. In that paper, I go through every single agenda, presentation, proposed law worldwide that's been made in the entirety of the UN. 99% sit in the garbage can today. Guess how many Canada's pulled out of the garbage can and enforced on all the people? A tremendous amount. Meaning, and I did the math calculation, 75% of the time, Canada will vote on something dead against the Allies, meaning in violation of international binding law, which means Canada is not operating 75% of the time in relation to the Allies or with international law, which is bad, which is very bad, everybody. That puts Canada on the other side of the Allies. Who is on the other side of the Allies? The Axis powers. This is no accident, everybody. Corrupt politicians in your country are doing this. When you talk about blue helmets, all of you talking about blue helmets, that's peacekeeping. Read your UN Charter, 1945. Read Geneva. These are binding world laws. Read Vienna that touches on portions of the blue helmets. You're going to learn what Canada's responsibility is supposed to be, which Canada operated in its responsibility to the Allies, maintained a UNSC Security Council seat, not a permanent one, but always had a seat up until Stephen Harper, who ruined it for us. And then Justin Trudeau took it 2 steps further. Canada right now is so far from the Allies. We've never been this far, this isolated from the Allies, ever in Canada's history. We do not honor our responsibilities for the blue helmets, which is peacekeeping. Learn what that really is. These people talking about invading countries or getting your country invaded by blue helmets, give your head a shake. The UN is never going to be invading Canada. The blue helmets, are you kidding? Russia and USA can destroy this world in the snap of a finger. Any country they want, any time of the day. In fact, Russia has more firepower in that respect than the United States. Not that it really matters. Not that it really matters. But that's the issue. They can destroy anything they want. They could take over the world tomorrow. But they don't. They never have. Why is that? Because they've made rules of governance for the entire world in a charter, in several binding agreements. People say, oh, the UNSC's broken. No, they take their time. They look at laws, how it will affect the world in sovereignty. This NWO everyone's talking about is being administered by none other than your Canadian politicians. Globalist reset on one side, socialist reset on the other. None of which lead to the UNSC. It all leads to a new world order of elite, wealthy citizens. Doesn't matter if government's in there or a set of oligarchs are in there. Does it really matter at that point? It's all of you that will be slaved. There is no difference between this radical left and radical right agendas. And you can take it all the way back to colonial powers, i.e. Germany, socialists they were, with globalization as the front and center. Sound familiar, everybody? This has been done by colonial powers of the past, which were the Axis powers, half of them, shut down, and here it is being remade right for Canada. And other countries, there's a whole bunch in the UN, all autocrats, dictators, rogue regimes, all via trying for the power, the control over their masses. Again, illegal in the UN, illegal according to the Allies, and they have tremendous amount of tools there waiting for you to utilize, which is why today I'm going to the ICC in reality, in real narrative, none of the corruption of government or crown legal systems. I sent a phone reception message to the one lawyer, Miller, who put it up there, saying they went to the ICC, a dozen lawyers, going after the church when they know full well the ICC has no authority over the church whatsoever. It's sad, it sucks, but that's how the world works. Vatican City is not in the UN. Nope. Which means they can't be bound. But all governments outside of the 5 are bound absolutely to that decision when the P5 make the decision. When they look at it and say, okay, we sponsor this, we accept your decision in this court, we will enact justice. And they do. And they do. Right now, Africa is one of the regions with several countries who've already been put through it. Rogue regimes who did atrocities much like what we're facing here with the First Nations people in Canada. Canadians, it's reality. We just have to trigger prosecution. To do that, we must focus solely and only on going after our UN registered government. our government, which is all aisles. I saw people posting about liberals. Sure, they're guilty too, but so are the conservatives. When you break it down regionally, you come across all parties. Then you look at opposition leaders. Did they, in the time, did they vote for it too? Because you can go back, look at every time the Indian Act was amended. You can look at every time residential schools was looked at. And you can look at every single vote through Parliament. Do you see what I'm doing here, ladies and gentlemen? I'm following international binding law as it is, respecting the court, the ICC, as it really is. It's not about the church or getting justice there, because it can't be done. And if you go that way, you lose your case, which means all the government officials get to walk. We don't want that. We want to address the gross human rights violation. We want the ICC to see Canada as it really is. Are there other Commonwealth countries a lot like Canada, or even ones who got independence, who stole the crown power and utilize it today? Yes. That's not my authority to go through it. The only example we can do is show the world what Canada is, the problems Canada has, and let's see how the rest of the world deals with that entirely. Thanks, everybody. This is my video about the UN. I challenge all of you, all your agendas, agreements, presentations, find all 5 signature on those agreements you're talking about. You won't find it. Look up veto, UNSCP5 veto. You will find the absolute truth of what I say. Then you'll learn that what you're being told in Canada, what the news media propagates about the UN, is 100% false. They're completely incorrect. World experts will tell you, I'm right, sorry to tell you, they're wrong. Why are they continuing to propagate the same narrative? Why do they keep saying the same thing? They're doing it, everybody, because they don't want you to know the truth. They want to stay in power, full authoritarian control, and never address colonialism embedded in our Constitution, empowering your autocratic politicians to maintain control over all of you, which again has been illegal in the world absolutely since 1945. King George VI, under agreement with the P5, had no choice, or UK was to be tossed out. They wouldn't have been a UNSC member. Same with France. They were colonial too. They had to agree with Russia and USA. China had its own problems with Beijing versus Taiwan, which in 52 Beijing defeated the Taiwan government that initially signed on the UN and became a UNSC P5. It wasn't until Richard Nixon, who said, okay, China, into 1971, ratified through 1972, he said, okay, China, we will give you Beijing Communist Party. And anyone can look at Richard Nixon, Watergate, wasn't a fan of communists, but he was smart enough to know this. We will give you the UNSC power, but you will sign this document called the 1948 Declaration of Human Rights. China signed it. Beijing signed it. There is only one country left, Russia, who must sign it. Once all 5 bind that in international law, it's cemented on every country in the world. Do you think residential schools could have happened if Russia had signed the 1948 Declaration of Human Rights at the time? No. No. Gotta go. There's been an owie puppy. I gotta go. That's my video. Thank you, everybody.